Hey, how are you guys doing? So it's my first vertical YouTube stream. So of course something new, and of course y'all have seen me over here on TikTok in the normal YouTube live. But tonight we are gonna go over. Oh, I wonder if that's better. All right, so tonight we're gonna do some free practice tests that are available on my website. I have one for reading and I have one for math. So of course you guys can let me know which one you guys would like to do first. The reading is 21 questions. Now the math is a full 34 questions, so we're definitely not going to have time to go through the entire math. However, we can go through a couple of those today. Okay, so of course if you guys have any questions in reference to the TEAS exam, you can feel free to let me know. Now if you are over here on the vertical stream, they don't give me the option to share my screen on this one, so you would have to join us, which I hate because I'm figuring this one out, either on my TikTok channel, or you can stay on YouTube and just actually go to my page for the horizontal live, and then you'll be able to see the screen. All right, so if you guys have any questions in reference to the TEAS exam, of course, let me know. If you're struggling, of course, if you're pursuing nursing, or you want to be a dental hygienist, you want to be a sonographer, you want to go into radiography, this is definitely going to be the live for you, because I can give you guys all the tips and the tricks and just different questions, of course, that you guys need answered in reference to those particular exams. So if you guys are unfamiliar, the TEAS exam is an exam that is used. I actually should have plugged in my mic. It's an exam that is used. I'm about to die. Is used as a prerequisite for those of you who are planning to go to nursing school, of course, sonography, radiography, any of those things. So if you guys always think of like SAT, ACT, this is just to see baseline where you guys are. So I do see like a lot of comments all the time, and people are always wondering, why do we have to take the TEAS test? Is it hard? How much of this stuff do I have to know? So in general, the content varies from subject to subject. Now, I know for sure that the math is around 7th, 8th grade level math. Very entry level algebra, pre-algebra at its best, but most of it is going to be basic things that you guys probably haven't seen in a long time. I would say the toughest part, just from experience, has always been the science, because it's very vast. The science content is going to come from your collegiate level of courses, so your biology, your chemistry, your anatomy and physiology. You guys are also going to have to know bits of scientific reasoning. So I would say the most recent content is going to come from science. Reading is going to be base level comprehension things, and then English is going to be very rule based, so punctuation rules, spelling rules, so all that stuff comes from middle school, reading from middle school. But science is going to be the only section that most of that content comes from the collegiate level. Unless you took those courses in high school, you will be familiar with that content as well. But of course, if you guys have any questions in reference to the exam, you can feel free to leave them in the chat, and I will answer them as best as possible. So is there anyone who's testing soon? What scores do you guys need for your programs? And then y'all have to forgive me over here on TikTok, because I'm using a new streaming device. It's called Restream. So I don't know, like, where do I even see the comments? Bear with me. All right, this is my first vertical stream course on YouTube. So of course, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'm in reference to the TEAS exam. One thing I always like to say is when people ask me if the TEAS exam is hard, I always tell them that is very subjective. Oh, I found it. Okay, perfect. I found the comments on this thing. Y'all know y'all got to work with me. That is very subjective. It definitely really depends on the person when we talk about whether it's difficult or not. Now, if you ask me personally, I've seen a lot of different exams. I don't think that it's a difficult exam at best. However, it is comprehensive, meaning that it covers a lot of things at one time. Okay, it shows a lot of things at one time, but it's not stuff that you guys haven't seen before. So that's always the good part that I tell people. Unless you haven't taken the required science courses, especially for LPN, those aren't required as prerequisites, then I can see not knowing that content. But as far as the reading, the math, and the English, definitely everything you guys have seen before. So we have a question that says, do I have a book for the reading portion? So I don't have a book for the reading portion, but I am working on putting together resources for the reading portion. I haven't decided if I just want to include those with at least the digital math books, because as of right now, I don't have any intentions on printing. That just becomes like a whole nother product, a whole nother thing. I already have 26 books that I have to keep up with, so I'm not sure. However, I did add the free reading practice test because I know it is harder to find practice tests for reading, and a lot of the times people are intimidated by the reading section, but the practice test gives you a good idea as to what you're going to see. Now, the reading portion isn't hard for the exam as long as you have the basic comprehension skills, but the thing that trips people up with that section is going to be the timing. Sometimes if you're a slower reader, or if it takes you a little bit while longer to comprehend, then you can lose track of time in that section and you end up running out of time, which means you miss the points for the questions, of course, that you didn't answer. But as far as the level of difficulty, the people who struggle with that portion the most is definitely going to be people whose second language is English, or if you've been someone who's always really struggled with reading. But if you're like a decent reader, the English is nothing. All right, and of course, over here on YouTube, you guys have any questions, please feel free to let me know, because I'm not sure if it just comes up. Child, I'm learning. I'm trying to, I don't know. Okay, I don't think anything has come up yet. We have another question. I went through your math book once and I'm going through it again. So that is good that you recognize that you should go through it multiple times if you have the time, even though the book does a really great job. And the book that she's referring to is the T7 math book, which definitely helps you to build the skills and the confidence to pass the math portion. Is that you have to reinforce the content. I always tell people, if you have always struggled with math, you can't expect to skim your way through something in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And this is years of content that you don't know. This is years of confidence that you didn't have. It's very hard to try to fix something like that, like this. But if you give yourself the time and you find the proper resources, then you can move towards being able to do that. I just think with social media, a lot of times people see things and they think, oh my God, I have to do it this fast. Oh my God, so many people did it this fast. But it doesn't always go like that. It's okay if you take longer to do something, as long as you do it right. Like, my biggest thing is always going at your own pace, understanding who you are and doing what works for you. Even though something may be broadcasted on social media, that doesn't mean that's going to work for everybody. That may be something that worked for that person. And that's one thing I want y'all to keep in mind. Like, I don't want y'all to get so discouraged when you log into these social media sites like YouTube or TikTok, and you're just like, oh my God, everybody's passing and I'm failing. But statistically, a lot of people fail. Almost half the people who take the test fail the first time around. And when we say failing is just based on a particular program score, because everybody's school has different scores. All right, we have a question. How much is your book? Is it available on Amazon? Okay, so this book is the main book. This book is $40. It does include over 1,700 practice questions, over 400 step-by-step videos. Everything has an example, which has a video that leads into every lesson. So every single thing that you guys need to know for the exam is included in the book. And then, of course, most people, at least for the last few years, have always gotten the bundle. The bundle includes 5 full-length practice tests additional and 190 videos. So if you get both, 600 videos, almost 2,000 practice questions. And you can find that on my website, which I don't know if it allows me to leave comments. But if you go to my page on YouTube, the link is there. It's Jakar Lewis Math. But you can only grab it from my website. Thank you for saying this. Yes, yes, yes. I'm an educator, like a real deal. I've been an educator for a long time, so I'm very clear on students, especially students with deficits, students who don't have the confidence specifically with math. I know how much of a role confidence plays in education, and I know how quickly that can be turned around with time and with patience, right? That's what a lot of people don't want to get on here and they don't want to tell you, is it just takes time. Sometimes people are just naturally adept at standardized tests. So of course they do good the first time. Like, I'm someone who's a good test taker, so I could go and take it because that's a skill that I have. But the average run-of-the-mill person doesn't have that skill. So I don't want y'all to get on here and you get discouraged, or you feel like nursing is not for me, sonography is not for me, radiography is not for me, just because you can't pass the TEAS. At best, get into a program, make it through a semester, and then say, maybe it's not for me. And I don't even want you to do that because I want you to see it through. But don't allow something like the TEAS test to make you feel like it's not for you. It's so much more beyond just this actual exam. And we have someone who said they need a 58. So 58 is a decent score and very, very attainable first time around. Every school is different. Some schools require like a minimum overall score, but then we have some schools locally who require an overall score plus a score for each subject area. So definitely a blessing if you guys go to a school and they're only looking at one score versus minimums for all of them. But a 58 for sure is doable. Any tips on trying to remember conversion measurements? So if you are taking the TEAS, which is different from the HESI, in terms of conversions. So conversions within a system is two different types of conversions you have to know: within and between systems. So within a system is going to be something like kilometers to meters, meters to millimeters. You see how they have that word meter in common? That's considered a conversion within a system. All right, and that particular conversion, those particular types of conversions can be remembered by using the acronym King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. If you head on over to my YouTube channel, I have maybe 3 or 4 full-length videos on conversions that can help you with that. That type of conversion is very simple, very straightforward. You just have to make sure you get the right video for it. The other type of conversion is a conversion between systems. So we go from one unit to a completely different unit. So like miles to kilometers, inches to feet, ounces to pounds. Now for this exam, they do give you the conversion factor. I feel like people go back and forth about this sometimes, but I've been around this exam for a long time, since it was the TEAS 5 and the TEAS 6 and now the TEAS 7. They do provide you with the conversion factor besides common conversions. So common conversions are like ounces to pounds. They think that everybody should know there are 16 ounces in a pound. Inches to feet. They think that everyone should know there are 12 inches in 1 foot. So when they say common, these are common things that people may interact with, but they're not going to expect you to know that there are 1.609 kilometers in a mile. Like, that's not the expectation. So don't let people scare you into that. If they have gotten conversions on the exam without the factor, it's because it's something that's common, okay? But if you go to my website, so of course, if you guys are on any of the social media platforms, my website is in my bio. If you go to the homepage, there's gonna be a link where you can get a cheat sheet for me, and it's free. And the cheat sheet has everything you guys need to memorize in reference to the TEAS exam when it comes to conversions, and even just other small stuff. So I'll put it here in the comments for TikTok, but I don't think they let me write comments on this YouTube vertical stream. I'm still learning, so I'm not sure. All right, so we have another question. How much did you say the bundle was? Can they be broken down like using Klarna? I would definitely be looking at YouTube channel. Do you do live videos weekly? So yes, the bundle is $50 for both of the books, and yes, I have Affirm, so the shop pay installments, and then I also have I think it's called Zip. It used to be Quad Pay, but now it's called Zip. So we have 2 options for payments as well. Yes. Okay, so definitely start. My YouTube channel is a great place to start. I have a playlist that has every single topic. So there are 15 topics in total that the math section will cover. So I have videos no less than 30 minutes each that actually goes through all of the examples from each section in the book, which is really cool. So it gives you guys an idea as to what you're going to see when it comes to the exam. So I really do like that particular aspect of it. So I don't do weekly lives. However, I am working on putting together a 30-day, basically like pass the TEAS test in 30 days, like with tips and tricks, even though, and it's okay if it takes you longer than 30 days, but I'm trying to decide if I want to launch it in March. I've already started developing, like, I have the outline of everything, but basically the 30-day series is just showing you step by step what I would do if I was prepping for the test and how I could break down the subject areas. I know a lot of people struggle with separating the subjects, meaning sometimes you try to study everything at one time and then you just get super overwhelmed, or you spend too much time on the subject area and then you don't have enough time to do the other one. So within this particular 30-day series, I'm going to go through and give you guys my tips as to how you can break those up, and then you can always readjust based on your time frame. Now, my personal recommendation is always at least 6 to 8 weeks to study. And some people will argue me down like, oh, I don't need 6 weeks. Oh, I don't need 2 months. When I say 6 to 8 weeks, that doesn't necessarily encompass studying all day, every day for 6 weeks to 8 weeks. That's realistically saying in the 6 to 8 weeks, you're going to practice, you're going to learn particular things, but you may have days where you might be too busy, you might be too tired, you might be too stressed. So that gives you the time to take a day off, and it's not a big deal. But if you're trying to study in 2 weeks, you can't afford to take a day off. You know, like, you miss one day, now that's one day where you could have brushed up this particular content, and now you miss 10 points, now you miss 15 points. Versus if you have a longer stretch of time, you give your mind time to consume and adjust, like you're reintroducing your mind to the content. People make y'all feel like y'all have to rush, and you don't have to do that. If you plan properly and you have the time to do it, take it. Now, sometimes y'all are in situations where you might just go on a whim and you might have an opportunity, a seat in the program, and all you need to do is pass the TEAS test. Now, I've seen that where people are like, okay, they have a spot for me, I just need this, I have 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, that's different if it comes out of nowhere, but if you're actually planning, you need to give yourself the time. You need to give yourself the time, for sure. All right, says your book is amazing. I have finally made it to cluster 4. Oh, you're doing good. That means you made it over the hump. How did you do with the clusters 1 through 3 review? Because that review is very important, because it tells you how well you've done with the first half, or really the first 3/5 of the book. But cluster 4 is super good. It's fractions, and I know fractions are scary, but once you get into the lessons, you'll be good. I have the ebook. Perfect. Question: is there a way to access the QR codes on your computer? So what you could do is you can download your book to your computer. I'm trying to think of the easiest way. No, because then you have to scan it with your phone. Okay, so do me a favor. Send me an email. Just go to the website in the contact us part. Send me an email and I will send you the actual links to the QR codes. It's the same thing. So then you can type the links into your computer and then you can see all the videos on your computer. Trish, yes, do that for me and I'll send those over to you tonight. That's no problem. That's no issue at all. All right, so we have someone who struggles with multi-step word problems. So multi-step word problems is definitely going to be a common issue that people have, because when we think of word problems in general, just in the general scheme of word problems, right, people are going to struggle with those. But then if you add 2 steps, 3 steps, it starts to make you feel like you don't know what you're doing. So my best advice with word problems in general is based on the particular topic. You have to make sure that you understand how to execute that content. So, or do the computation. So for example, if we have a word problem dealing with proportions, if you can't just solve a proportion, meaning if I give you the setup for proportions with just the numbers, no word problem, if you can't solve that, then I don't expect you to be able to solve a word problem involving the proportions, because you don't know the setup. You don't know how to properly calculate. So we always have to start with the base. Can you do the math? Right? That's always the first thing. Can you do the math of that particular topic? Once the math is down and then you guys transition into word problems, the key is just understanding, if you watch the videos, I call them triggers. Every topic has its own set of keywords that are going to let you know that this is the topic. Meaning, if I'm doing proportions, these are the triggers. If I'm doing ratios, these are the triggers, right? So you guys have to make sure you're watching content or you're watching instructors who can teach you those triggers, like me. You can find all those videos on my YouTube channels. I always talk about the importance of triggers because you want to be able to train yourself to know, when I see this, this is the reaction. That's how I teach. I teach in a manner you actually have to learn how to do the math. It's no shortcuts. It's no, hey, just do this, or hey, just do that. Because if you're not really great at something, a shortcut can be your worst enemy because you don't know when to do it versus when not to do it. I'm going to teach you how to do it no matter how they give it to you. And I'm going to teach it to you in a way that doesn't kill your confidence. It's going to make you say, oh my God, that's it. That's always the response. That has always been the purpose of my instruction, is to take something that has always seemed so difficult and make it very easy and very straightforward so that you can have the confidence. Math is something that is learnable. It just has to be taught to different people different ways. So I wouldn't let y'all know from a math instructor's point of view. Any math that I have, I can teach y'all something from algebra 2 right now. And for some of y'all, it's not gonna resonate right now, but if we did it for about 2 or 3 days, it'll be like, oh, it's not, you wouldn't think anything about it. Same thing if I taught y'all something from college algebra. You just have to consume it a certain type of way, and then it just becomes, like I have students who think that algebra 2 is so easy, but they think algebra 1 is hard, but it's not. It's just the way that I taught it. I don't know. It's crazy. All right, I've been out of school for 10 years and was shocked to make even a 73 on a cluster review. Oh, I plan on going back and reviewing. I have to say thank you so much. You explained the content so well. You're welcome. That always has been the goal with the book. Because I have always worked with so many people who have just been in such dire distress with math, and this has been since I've been 18 and I'm about to be 35, so it's been a long time. It's been 17, about to be 17 years this year. People let math defeat them so much. And I always made sure that I found a way to help them to overcome that, because I know that it's something that you can learn, and I don't want it to be the reason why you don't pursue whatever dream it is that you have, or you don't have the confidence that you deserve to have, because it's just math. Math is the same as it was 50 years ago, 100 years ago. It's going to be the same thing 500 years from now. And because it's something that isn't ever changing, you have a way to learn it, All right, it says, I'm studying now. I got the ebook, but I printed each cluster out. That's a really great way to tackle the book as well. I think sometimes people get a little bit intimidated because they see the thickness of it, because this is 250 pages, and they think, oh my God, it's just math. Yes, because the reality is, if you have always struggled, if you have math anxiety, if it makes your nerves bad, it takes this, right, to turn that around. You have to be accepting of the idea that it takes work, right? It takes some long days. It takes some days where you're just like, oh my God, for you to actually turn that around. It's like any other thing that you guys tackle in your life. But it's very, very doable. We're the same age. I love it. Yes. Okay. I'm getting the book as well. Yeah, you'll love the book. And of course, anybody who has followed me for a long time, y'all know I'm not really big on like the promoting and advertising thing. I mean, obviously I have to because it's a book, but the reality is that the creation of this was created with you guys in mind, the people who stress and who struggle and whose hands sweat because of math. Sometimes I've seen people cry because they just feel like, I can't, but it's like, you can, even if it takes you a little bit longer, you can do it. We have a question. Should I be studying every day? If you are closer to your exam, you definitely should be studying every day. But even if you're far out, I always tell people, just take some time. You want this content to be in the front of your mind all the time, even if it's just Quizlet with some flashcards, if it's audio, videos from YouTube or a couple practice questions. You want this to be in your mental space until you pass your exam. You don't want any distractions. You want your social media feed to definitely look like everybody who's reviewing or has like tips and tricks that work for you, because everybody's not going to always work for you. I'm very accepting of the fact that I might not always be everybody's cup of tea. That doesn't bother me because it's education. You can't teach everybody, so that part doesn't bother me. But you definitely want to be exposed to it all the time. Now, you don't have to have long, drawn out sessions every day, not until you get closer, but a good exposure, at least an hour if you are a month or two out. I would say if you're about 6 to 8 weeks out, probably start with an hour and then start to build and progress as you get closer. I've been having anxiety. That's normal. Test taking anxiety is very normal. I always liken it to when kids are learning how to walk. They're very apprehensive. They're very scared. They're very anxious to take steps. But once they get that footing, they're good to go, right? Confidence has a lot to do with the confidence. When you know you can do something, you're more confident. But when you think you don't know how to do something, you don't have the confidence, right? So you have to put yourself in a position to where you know the content. You have to know that you know it and you don't second guess it. Now, you should have jitters when you first open your test, but once you get through a couple questions, you should calm down. If you have prepped properly, once you actually see the exam, the anxiety should definitely go away for sure. I said I cried all day today. I printed those clusters today. I want this so bad. Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear you were crying. But it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. That's just a part of being human. As long as you can cry and keep pushing, you'll be good to go. But it is good that you actually printed the clusters. I would even challenge you to start with the first section tonight, which is super easy and straightforward. I'm not going to say easy. You're going to feel like it's easy once you finish, just in case you do struggle with it. That's just estimating around them, because that's a part of a lot of the problems. But just get through so you can see like, you know. And of course, if you have a question, you can always let me know. Send me an email or make sure you join the Facebook group and you can post your question there. I want to join your live video sessions where you're teaching lessons on a webcam. Okay, so of course I'm still working on that right now, but we're actually about to get ready. If you guys want to, if you're over here on YouTube on the vertical live, go over to like my page. My name should be on somewhere. Like go to my page where it's like the regular live. I think you'll be able to click like on my profile picture where it's like horizontal, because I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go through the reading practice test, just to see where you guys are. Or do y'all want to go through the math practice? Y'all want to go through the reading practice test, or y'all want to go through the math practice test? On cluster 3. Okay. So cluster 3 is pretty good. That's with geometry, explaining the relationship between two variables. You have your statistics in there. And what else is in cluster 3? Geometry. And she's referring to this book right here. So make sure, of course, if you guys are struggling with the math, y'all go ahead and grab it. The link is in my bio. What else is in this section? Oh, and interpreting relevant information from tables, charts, and graphs. So cluster 3 is really good because even though it's a lot of stuff, it gives you a simplistic view of it. So it definitely helps for real. You helped me to pass my TEAS math 2 years ago. I really wish that you teach dimensional analysis math now. Oh, congratulations. Okay, so no dimensional analysis for me. However, I have somebody who can help y'all. She's on YouTube, she's on TikTok, she's on Facebook, and her name is A Blessed RN. So if you guys search for her, she has a book. She goes live twice a week. I know for sure, I think Wednesdays is one of the days. I can't remember the second day, but she's very good. She's here on YouTube as well. And like all of her lives are saved on her YouTube, so you can go and check her out. So A Blessed RN, make sure y'all check her out. It's helping so much. Oh, so I'm glad to hear that the book is helping. I always, of course, want to hear that that you guys are making progress, because that's always the goal. I've been saying name all day. All right, I need a 60% and a 66% in reading. Okay, so Michaela, we were just talking about that. So Michaela's program is an example where she has to have an overall score of a 60, but she also has to have at least a 66 in reading. So make sure whatever school you guys are interested in, that you're very clear as to what their requirements are, because it changes from institution to institution. Thank you. I'll check her out. Yes, check her out. She's so sweet. You'll love her. She does a really, really, really great job. So many practice problems. Yes, that was the intention when I created the book. And you know, so crazy. I wrote every single question in this book. So no chat GPT and all that stuff. No, every single thing y'all seeing here, down to the cover, down to all of the graphs, I had to create all of that stuff. So no copying and pasting, no paying somebody else to do it. So that's why I'm very in tune with the content, and I understand what it takes, you know. All right, so let's get over here. So if y'all still over here on the vertical live, I think I'm about to get ready and go ahead and end it. Even though I feel like I didn't really like learn a lot of. Okay, so I did learn that I can't comment on here. Okay, so no commenting, but I can turn the mic off. What's this? Highlight save to your channel as up to the last 5 minutes of your stream. All right, make sure y'all just head on over to my page for the horizontal. All right, y'all, so did we decide? Y'all, everybody wants to do math, so just forget the reading? Okay, all right, so let's get into it. Okay, so if y'all over here, make sure y'all go to the other side. So this is my first vertical stream, which was not that bad. So make sure y'all are subscribed to me over on YouTube, because I'm going to be moving a lot of the content over there, because it gives me the choice to be able to do like all of this good stuff. But of course, you know, TikTok, I'll still be checking in. But as far as like the actual tutorials, YouTube is going to be the hub for those tutorials for sure. And then once I can get this whole restream thing going on, then hopefully y'all will be able to see it everywhere. So we'll go from there. Can you do some graph questions? Just like one real quick if you get time. So I don't remember. Let me see how deep into those questions the quiz is. Because the way the test is designed is no skip. So we literally would have to answer. Yeah, the first one is until question 18. So I know for sure we're not going to get to it on that test. But if you remind me at the end, I'll try to see if I can pull one up on the screen before we get off. All right, so thank y'all for my first YouTube vertical live. All right, make sure y'all just go to my page and check out. We're still going to be on live, but you can see where I'm going to share the screen and we can do some practice questions together. All right. Oh my God. Let me tell y'all something that's super cool, right? So y'all got to make sure, everybody make sure they say a prayer for me tonight. So I was invited to attend this YouTube boot camp. So it's for like rising creators. If they see you getting a little motion on YouTube, they give you like different tricks and stuff to help to elevate your channel. So I've been in the boot camp, but we had the opportunity to see if we can get chosen to come out to actually visit the YouTube studio, which is like super, like, oh my God, super cool. And we get to learn like different things and get different tips. So make sure y'all say a prayer for me tonight, because I find out tomorrow if I get picked to go out to YouTube. And I'll actually be flying out there next week, which is like super cool. Like very excited about that. So y'all make sure y'all send one up for me. All right. So let me get off this one.